the health and fitness show. I'm in the dungeon, which is the back room of my basement where my weights are, my stationary cycling bike is, and I'm gonna put in some work a little bit, so let's see how this goes. So hit like, subscribe, bell notifications, keep putting them on the Glass Podcast in your rotation. Hope you enjoy this episode. Future episodes we have coming up is the Glass Rebel. We'll have Gary with the IGA on. We'll have Maria with her school over in London. We will have Dylan on from NOLO. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching, listening, watching. What is good, everyone? This is James, the Ghost Set Killer with Put 'em on the Glass podcast, and today my guest is AJ. He is a friend of mine. We've been friends since I think it was Longaberger days. So what was that, 90?
You're telling on us now about 96, 98.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. We met there, and the one thing I've always appreciated about you as a person is your perseverance to just never give up on a situation. The main thing is with physical activity, you're so physically in shape. You've always stayed there. You've always maintained. You've never kind of walked off of that path so far. And you've always been this down to earth, strong person that you're a great role model. I've looked up to you a lot. Yeah. Well, what you're doing now with Vent is something I would like to see a lot of my community members in the Autoglass community maybe reach out into their own personal community and just kind of help out, because you never know what anybody's going through. Take a few minutes and explain to me what Vent actually is.
So Vent it stands for Voices Engaging and Non-Judgmental Transparency. So I started it about a year ago in Columbus, and long story short, man, I'm pretty transparent. So I went through a bad breakup, man. It was a really, really tough time for me. And out of that breakup, I had to do some jail time. So during that time, I was in Delaware County for about 4 months, man. And it's weird. I started mentoring the people there. It's weird how people are drawn to you. So I kind of have a high vibration energy, and people were drawn in, and it just it took off. So I remember my first 2 weeks there, I'm a little uncomfortable. I take care of myself, but it's jail. So, it's like anything can happen. But after about the third week there, I noticed some guys kind of huffing and puffing around and complaining about being there. And one guy asked me, he said, "Man, how do you stay so even keel?" And I said, "It's kind of tough, man. But, I sat back in here about a few days ago before he asked me this. And I said, for me, I think it's, you have to sit back and look at, there's at least one time in your life, every person, that you got away with something you shouldn't have. So this right here is just what I have to pay to get to that next level. I don't like it. It's very uncomfortable, but it was necessary." And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I grew a lot from that. So from there, I transformed it into a men's group. And I knew a lot of men that were having issues, a lot of trouble, a lot of things going on. And I was a good ear. You got to be a good listener first. That's what it takes. And people can tell when you're empathetic. So from there, we started the men's group, man. And it blew up from there.
That, and to take such what I would assume is a low point in your life, given what we've talked about, and you turn it into this beautiful piece of magic that you're helping the community. And I noticed that you released it in our hometown of Zanesville, and yes. You also just now expanded it to our sisters as well. And you have this. You're right. People are attracted to you, AJ. People are drawn to your energy, and you have a very good vibration. It really is. Anytime I'm around you, I'm calm. You know what I mean? We went a long time without seeing each other, really talking. Yeah, a long time. I would run into you here and there, kids sporting events and different things and everything. Yep. And, we never actually trained together, even though I wanted to. We were always just on different gyms, even though we went to the same gym a couple of times. But from afar, I could see your dedication to taking care of your mental health through your physicality. And one thing, with what we do in the Autoglass industry, is we sit in a van a long time. You drive from job to job. So you're on a job for about an hour, and you're pretty active. It's a pretty active job. We're not pouring concrete or anything, AJ, but it's a pretty active job. You're into
understood.
Yeah, yeah, you do the vehicle sales, you know what I mean? Sometimes
Yeah.
you've done that. So you understand with the auto glass, it's not super physical, but it's physical enough. Then you get in the
Oh, yeah.
van and then you drive, so you're sitting, which is kind of bad. And then you're eating at fast food restaurants. You're sitting in the, in the van, you're eating and it's not the best choices. And someone who is looking at themselves, AJ, and they're just stuck. They want to do better, but they don't know those first steps to become better, become more physically active, because that follows your mental follows with your
Yeah.
physicality. What, from someone who has so much experience in that field in dealing with the emotions, what tips could you give some of our listeners?
Um, I will start off with really small things, man. Like when you get up in the morning, um, take snacks with you. You know, when I go to the grocery store, there's certain things. A lot of people don't like to read labels, but you do that for a couple of days, man, a week tops, and there's small things that you can take with you to get an active amount of fats, carbs, and proteins. I know it sounds like a lot, but you get with somebody for a week or two to kind of guide you on those things, and then you keep a couple of those healthy snacks in your car. You'd be surprised the right things you eat keep you full, so you don't want to go and get these cravings for fast food.
Oh,
So
okay.
personally, that's works for me. I'm saying like for someone just starting out and wanting to do small changes, try to when you get up in the morning, put a couple things in the van. When you go out there and you take your car, your keys to unlock the car and get in there, let it warm up or whatever, put a couple snacks in there that are healthy. You'd be surprised the small things that will keep you, fueled throughout the day.
Okay. So, and with saying that, the unhealthy lifestyle has led to a lot of weight gain for people. I've struggled with that because of this industry as well. I'm a yo-yo. I'll be around 240 and then I'll get under 200. And, I like to cycle a lot. And, so
Yeah.
I have that yo-yo effect as well. But someone who is a little bit of intimidated about getting into the gym and getting moving, and they've got that, I guess, imposter syndrome, and they're kind of thinking that, well, I don't belong here, I shouldn't be here, people are making fun of me. What kind of tips would you give somebody on that mental aspect of making that switch to where you're okay going to the gym?
That's a really good question. Really good question. That imposter syndrome is big, but I think that's the wrong place for it to have imposter syndrome because we're all there for the same reason. So for me, what I do is I see a lot of guys come in the gym and I can tell when they're new in there. I just approach them. I'm a very confident person. So I'll just say, hey, my man, can I ask a question? Or if it's a lady, what got you started? Well, being overweight, this and that, and giving them a little positive feedback because a lot of people think I'm in fairly decent shape for my age. So people think, oh, it's easy. I've been doing this for 30 years. So it's just like anything you do. If you go to a job every day, that's how serious I take it. Like I haven't went today yet and I'm dying. As soon as this podcast is over, I'm going right to the gym because it sets a discipline for everything I do in my life. So, small things like that. When someone comes in, I think there are a lot of people, even people that are in shape, are uncomfortable when they come to the gym. So just kind of getting over that initial fear and having somebody there that'll kind of say, "Don't worry about it, man. One day at a time. One day at a time." It's small things like that that make people like that come back.
Yeah, I mean, because you're right, and someone like you who is so confident because of the 30 years. People, like, I want to stress this to my listeners: is AJ did not start out confident. He had those insecurities and those. No, okay, never mind. AJ started out confident. Myself personally, when I got into really good shape in my early 20s, I lacked the confidence.
Okay.
But through doing it every day and every day and every day, the confidence started to build that this is who I am, this is who I was, this is the routine I made. And so, but having somebody like you who would approach them and help them along, because it's not arrogance, it's just confidence. It's
There
that
you go.
friendly openness of, I know what I can do, I know what my abilities are, and let me guide you and help you. So that's I think that's pretty good advice. If you make it like a almost like a cognitive behavioral therapy
100%.
practice, yeah, to where you write down your list, you check your list off, and you make that workout part of your list, and you get in that gym, and you just start. So I'm lifting, and nobody's came over to me and said anything or anything. No one's approached me like what you have or somebody. I'm in that gym that, and I've got this sinking feeling that people are watching me and kind of chuckling and making fun of me and stuff. So to say, um, what's what would be some of the work throughs if that was you, if you kind of got self-conscious about yourself in the gym because you feel like you don't belong there? So what was some tips you could give them to get past that?
Ask questions.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. A lot of people are intimidated to ask questions, but you'd be surprised, man. Like someone that's in shape, they really appreciate that. It makes them feel like they're still recognized because most of the time, the person in shape, they're in the gym, they know they're already fairly fit. But when you ask them questions, it kind of gives them that reassurance too that, okay, I do still have something to offer. So that's a big key right there. Everybody thinks that just because someone's in shape in the gym, they're confident. Those are some of the most depressed people in the world in the gym, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and it's a real good place to relieve stress. But small things like that, again, man, it doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, really, I mean, I had someone ask me the other day, and their lady come up to me and's like, "Oh my God, what is that exercise you're doing?" You know, and I explained it to her, but she just felt so good after. But so did I. I walked away
Yeah.
with my shoulders back a little extra more, my head held a little
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah.
Okay, I do still have it a little bit. You know, everybody
Yeah.
likes to feel good.
Well, yeah, because you take on that role of a mentor instead of a, oh, I don't know how to say it. You're a mentor. You're not, so of course you're going to feel a little bit of pride because you're passing what knowledge you've worked so hard to obtain. So
Yes.
I can see that. That's pretty awesome. Like if you're feeling that self-conscious and you see that and you look over and you see that person that's really buff and, don't go, the one thing in the gym, I will give people advice mid set, do not go over and talk to somebody
Please
mid
don't.
set.
Please don't.
Do not talk to somebody mid set because coming from somebody who used to lift all the time, mid set is the worst time you want to because I'm struggling. I'm really focused on what I need to do, and I may not talk to you or whatever. But mid set, or you see them, then approach them and ask them some questions because they will. I've never met anybody in the gym who told me to go fuck off
Exactly. Nine
because
times
I
out of 10, man, we're all going through the same thing in there. Just because one might be physical, one might be mental. We're all, it's still something you're dealing with that's an imbalance that you're trying to level out.
Yeah, and I will push for people who are initially getting into this to either hire a trainer or get with that mentor because, okay, so like in our auto glass profession, if we don't do the job right, the windshield doesn't stay in when the airbag goes off.
100%.
So, okay, so it's very important to do it right, but in exercise, it's the same thing. If you're not performing the movement right, you put yourself at such a risk of injury to where that month off of being injured, you might not go back.
I've
We've all
seen it a
dealt with
lot.
this. Yeah, 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 yeah. And right now we're almost into that 3 week mark into the where New Year's resolutions are wearing off. So I'm
Yep.
hoping that this podcast with you, AJ, will hit home with everybody to where they're like, okay, okay, yeah, yeah, I can create the habits to be better, because when they get that physicality and you get that movement, your mental health does become better. You're able to think, your
All
cognitive
around.
ability. Yeah. I mean, just lifting something heavy and picking up and setting it down helps so much with your cognitive. Like, I listen to Andrew Huberman a lot, and that's one big
Okay.
thing he stresses is like, the plasticity doesn't go away. Everybody says you stop learning, you don't. Plasticity doesn't go away. What goes away is your drive to be better. And picking up heavy things, it's like, okay, I don't want to pick this up again, but I have to.
Okay.
Make yourself do the things you don't want to do, and then your plasticity just you kind of mold it and everything. Make yourself do those things you don't want to do.
It's in
Um,
everything, but it happens in everything in your life. If you can find one to do every single day,
mhm.
it's gonna help you do another. You just start branching out. Sorry to cut you off.
No, 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 no. Please do, because it's just how my brain works. Is like, I've become so it's taken me a while, but I've become very okay with myself. I kind of like who I am, but it's
I
taken me a
like
long
that.
time.
I like
And
that.
it's taken me a lot of steps, a lot of mental walkthroughs, and a lot of, just realizing that, the things that people found annoying about me or the things people disliked about me, it's just kind of my struggles to make me me. And I do really do. Like I'm an outgoing person. I'm very vocal. I'm very, this is my creative outlet. And, so I'm the guy that won the world championship in the Auto Glass Tech Olympics in 23 and showed up in a pink suit to accept my trophy.
I
So
respect it. Yeah.
I'm that kind of guy who is like, so I think that, becoming okay with yourself is something that a lot of people struggle with because
That's
for
it
some
right there.
reason,
So my hat says we're working. So my hat says self worth. If you see that, see,
oh, I do.
I have it spelled SLFWRTH. So I put it on my license plates when I moved to Columbus because after going through a rough time, I don't think people really that's the biggest thing that people fall in the trap of not knowing your own self worth. You have in this day and age, you almost have to be selfish to a degree because
Hmm.
I think that's why a lot of people suffer from mental health is you don't truly know yourself and you put someone else on this pedestal before you know who you truly are. And then they decide they're not in this relationship anymore. And then you don't know who you are. You have no identity. I've done it
Oh,
several times. Several times I got trapped in it, and it's scary. I
yeah.
just recently went through a breakup. I had to leave the situation, but people, I suffer still. I mean, I'm hurt all the time. This was just 3 weeks ago, and I
Hmm.
sit here and I have my days where I'm like, man, certain things that I miss about the person, certain things that I want. But ultimately, when I sit here at night and I do sleep, it's like, okay, my mental was a lot better because the things they were struggling with, I couldn't help them with. I couldn't do it.
Oh,
I couldn't do it.
yeah.
I can guide, just
Hmm.
like at the gym. I can show you, all right, here's the proper way to do this exercise, but it's up to you to follow it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And a lot of it is not just preventative when it comes to these exercises. You know, my listeners, I want to drive this home. Like, yes, you're going to look better, and when you look better, you feel better. You're going to be more confident, and like you said, you got to know your self worth. With rolling into that, the one big thing I want to do in this industry is change this industry from the technicians, CSRs, and the foot soldiers of not looking at this job as like a job, is a career. You have a career, you're a professional, so act like it. So, AJ, talk a little bit about how what I just said, look good, feel good. When you dress nice, you look nice, you feel good. So, how does that affect someone's mentality when to see themselves as a professional and then the whole look good, feel good? What's your take on all that? How would you explain it to people?
so my personal take on that is I mean, it gives you the endorphins are just through the roof. I mean, that's just like if you're 300 pounds and you drop down to 200 pounds, you put that suit on and you walk into a room, you feel like everybody wants to be you. It's
Yeah.
like, it's, to me, it's everything. But again, it starts with just knowing who you are. Like the gym is what's done that for me. You have to be able to walk with your shoulders back, head held high. In any given situation, you have to just look at it like, okay, I wanted this job. It didn't work out. I'm better than what they wanted to offer. So the next one that
Mhm.
comes along will be for me. Or if not, you just keep trying. And that's the same thing in life, same thing with the gym. You just have to want it. You have to keep pushing. And you're always going to, like I said, if you go to the gym, even if you're not in shape, you are definitely going to feel better each and every day you go back.
Yeah, I feel that. I can feel that. And because I'm starting to, we're huge hikers and cyclists
Oh
and
yeah.
so we stay active that way, but I'm really missing some mother steel. So I'm really just I got my gym over here, so I'm kind of like, I'm really itching to do it. I just haven't pulled that trigger yet. So what you're
I get
saying is
it.
resonating a lot with me too because I'm trying some of those CBT practices, writing
Okay.
it down and making it stick, making it a point to follow your agenda, no matter what it is, no matter how,
Yep.
because I'm not in that physical role anymore. I train the trainers and I'm not in the physical role of putting windshields in every day and
Okay.
back glasses, all that stuff. So for me, taking this new role on, I need to really make sure I'm moving and everything. So it's starting to resonate with me. So let me ask you, morning workouts or afternoon workouts? Which one would you start with if you've never?
I honestly don't care. Like I'm an early person, so I like to be in there usually between 8 and 9 if I don't have anything going on. But the problem is, man, I'm there too long. I'm the guy that's in the gym for 2, 3 hours every day. And sometimes I'll start with cardio, sometimes it's last, but I don't leave until everything's left on the table. I know that might sound kind of crazy, but it's just what it
Yeah.
is, man. But for me, like tonight, I haven't went yet. I worked today. I had a bunch of things going on, but it's a night workout tonight. I'll be there probably about 6:30 until about 9. So you got to
That's
get it
it.
in. You got to make
So you
time
got
for it.
the David Goggins mindset. I love
Yeah,
his
you
book.
got to have it. You got
You
to have
gotta
it. That's a
have
good
it.
one right there.
You have to have it. So um, we're getting back into it, and we're starting, like you said, little bits, half hour. Um, would you focus on resistance training first for somebody who's not been in the gym for a long time, or would you focus on cardio, or a mix of both, or would it be what would your recommendation? 3 days a week, 5 days a week, 2 days?
Personally,
What would you?
getting back into it so you don't overdo it 3 days a week and a variety of cardio and full body workouts. Because that way all the muscles get to work simultaneously or do what they call push pull. Because that way
Uh-huh.
you're working opposing muscles a lot. And that's good because one doesn't get too fatigued. If you do two pull exercises in one day, the one you're trying to build your biceps are not going to look as good when you're doing another pull exercise. So a push pull is always a good way to work that out. But 3 days a week, a good 45 minutes to an hour will be a good setup for probably the first month. And then after that, got to dig in 4 or 5 times a week. You got to dig in.
Gotta dig in. You gotta dig
Gotta
in.
dig in.
So what's your tips on soreness? Because I know for me back in the day, I used to love it because it meant that I was growing. It meant that I was shedding the weight. It meant that I was doing something in the gym. When I woke up sore, I felt good. At 46 years old, I wake up sore. I'm like, oh man, like I may have overdone it a little bit. So what's your tips on dealing with soreness?
The big thing is, man, replenishing your muscles right after. You know, everyone has their own theory on it, but your muscles, your glycogen stores are completely depleted when you get out of that gym. So, you know, getting a quick boost of carbs in, and you got to get some good fats. That's another thing because fats help lubricate your joints. A lot of people don't know that, but get a good bit of healthy fats in and some protein and water. You'd be surprised, man, what'll happen to your body in a day and a half. Stretching as well. I'm 48, so
Oh,
stretching is key.
yeah,
Stretching is
yeah.
key.
How many hours do you stretch? And what stretching do you do? Yoga? Did you come up with your own plan? Do you follow a routine?
My own, and it's just like I really do. Like I have bad knees, so I do a lot of IT band stretches. And I do the big thing for me though that helps me is I do a lot of stability work. So stability work, a lot of people don't know what that is, but that's why I have a pretty decent foundation and a pretty good build is because the stability work. So, for instance, I might take something like two kettlebells with two bands on the end, and we'll have a bamboo bar that bends. So I'll put the kettlebell on each end, and I'll have someone to rock them opposite directions, okay? So I have bad shoulders. So what I'll do is I'll hold that bar overhead, and you see it's kind of, it's wanting to move because the kettlebells are swinging opposite direction. But holding that here, this works all the tissue around those muscles. So that's how you build up and get strong right there. That's how you build a
Dude,
good foundation of stability work.
that's such a good exercise for what we do because if you're not using a setting tool, and even if you are using setting tool, you've got anywhere from 25 pounds to 100 pounds out in front of you like this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so this shoulders, back of the neck, traps, all this, you know, you've got, and not only that, you got to stabilize it while you're looking. I like the stability work.
Yep.
Where would you direct our listeners to go for workout routines like the stability work? Is there somewhere that you have that you like, that you don't like?
Honestly, I don't follow anyone's metrics anymore. I came up with my own. I still do a little bit of personal training here and there, not a whole lot, but I also have a balance wheel. So I don't know if you know what that is. It's kind of like, it sort of looks like a ski board. So it's probably about 3 foot long and it's got a wheel in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And you just stand on it and balance yourself. Now,
Yep.
when I first started doing it, I did it on carpet until I got used to it. And it's not showing off. And I take it in the gym a lot because I do it on leg days. And it's good for I have bad knee joints. So again, I build the tissue up around that and my hamstrings, and holding that core tight is another thing. With you holding those big heavy glasses or your guys holding that, you got to have a strong, stable core. So things like that are key. I post videos a lot so people can see those. I do just full stability workouts at least twice a week.
All right, drop where my listeners can find those videos, AJ, please.
Yeah, and if you go like on my website, my Facebook site, it's Anthony AJ Johnson. And if you go down through there, it'll show all my workouts. I also have a TikTok where I do some of those as well. But I'll put a link for my next video that I do post so everybody can see. And then if people have questions, you'd be surprised how many comments I get. How do you do this? Can you show me that? How's this working? It's kind of cool, man, because again, it keeps you humble, but it also keeps me pushing to be better each day. So.
Yeah, and that 1% better each day makes everybody. But yeah, so make sure that you text me that link so I can put it in the show notes. And then
We'll
also when you share the show, or you share the little clips we're going to be releasing to kind of boost the show, we'll link it all to there. And because I think that seeing someone who is as motivated as you, maybe that person they can look to for the stability work, which is funny you said that about that balance board, because back in 2018 I blew my ankle and had to have it completely rebuilt with cords. And so I had to really build the muscles up around that ankle. So I had to do a lot of stability work on that. And if you've never done it, at first, I love the carpet thing because that shit is fucking hard. That
Oh
shit is
my.
fucking hard. Like it really is. I mean, then I got to where I had to stand on the one leg only and then,
Yep.
back to the leg. And,
Yep.
I used to race motocross. So I had a pretty decent balance, but
Oh
my
yeah.
balance was screwed up and I was like falling a bunch. And then, we played basketball together a lot. So,
Yep.
had to have good balance for that as
You have to.
well.
You have to.
Yeah.
Stability
Yeah.
is the key to exercise anymore. I mean, it's nice to work out and lift heavy and get strong and look good, but if you don't have the overall balance, especially when you get a little older, it's tough. And that's why people get sore because they don't work the muscles. They're worried about building the muscle, but not keeping the tissue strong around it. That's why their injuries are not prevented as much anymore. Band work, stability work, things like that are very big key as you age.
See, and that's good. Everybody, if you heard that stability work for what we're doing and we're aging out as technicians, the kids coming in, they may be able to lift that stuff and do what we did when we were young and foolish.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, what he says, he drives it home right there because the stability work is going to prevent injury, and that's what we want to do in the long run is ergonomically prevent injury. So, yeah, the stability work, I like that. I like that. Now, you're an entrepreneur as well, and a lot of my listeners, they're business owners for themselves, and they're trying marketing and different things like that. And I know this is kind of like a touch on whatever, but what advice as a successful entrepreneur would you offer to people who are starting out in business and becoming an entrepreneur? It doesn't have to be related to Autoglass, but a lot of my listeners are on Autoglass entrepreneurs. What advice would you give them?
The most simple thing that anyone would say is consistency. I mean, it's very hard to stay consistent. I have 3 different things that I try to manage and do. And sometimes I will let one slack. And I'll be honest with you, because this sounds bad to some people, but my workouts overtake so much stuff because it's why I'm able to do all the other things that I do throughout the day is from working out. But consistency is the biggest key you can have. I mean, you're going to get told no. There's things that are not going to work out the way you want, but you just have to stay consistent and push. Most people, usually you get right to that point to where you're right there. You're right at the tip of the iceberg and you say, I can't take anymore. I'm tired of it. I've done it with things in the past, but I refuse to give up. And I get that from my parents. They're relentless. And
I,
that's, and I'm just like, no matter what happens to me, I'm always going to go get it. It's just, again, like I said, consistency is the biggest key in anything you do. I know that sounds kind of cliche because everybody says that, but consistency and discipline, because you ain't going to be motivated all the time. You're just not.
yeah, yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. Like I love the grind aspect that we were talking about. You just got to get in there and grind and grind and grind because that's when discipline becomes very needed. Because what is it? David Goggins says motivation is crap. Motivation will fail you where discipline won't. If it's just what you do, it's just what you do.
Yep.
It's like you don't have to convince yourself. It's just what you do, but you got to get to there where you're like, okay, I do this now. This is what I do now. So listeners out there, this is what you do now. You're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of your physical health. So AJ, before I let you go, I'm glad you really did that for me and Kevin. Let's talk a little bit more about how someone's mental health is affected by their work and how someone can alleviate that, so to say.
Well, if you don't have it, you're going to be tired all the time throughout the day. So your work's going to be crap most of the time. I think the biggest key for me and that I can tell people that I talk to is it's easy to be lazy. It is very easy to sit around and be lazy, but it's hard to go in and do things like there's literally I think if for my age bracket, 5% of people that do what I do every day. And it's not bragging or anything like that, but it takes a different kind of confidence to be able to go to the gym like that, come home and get the proper sleep and eating you need, and get up and be motivated to do what you need to do at work the next day for yourself and your family. You just have to stay motivated. I mean, you have to. Discipline, like I said, is always there for me, but I think a lot of people just get caught up in thinking they don't have enough time, and you have to make time. You make time for the things that you want to make time for, and to me, exercise is one of them because you can't get the time back, and
Yeah.
if you're not healthy, you're not going to be around long. You know how many people our age in the past year or two that have passed away from being
Yeah.
unhealthy. I mean, that's scary for me. I don't want that. I do the
Yeah.
best that I can, but that's scary.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you that yeah, we're getting to those brackets to where it's like you're starting to lose friends from being unhealthy. And one thing I'm super proud of is that at my age, I'm not on a long list of medication.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I work with a therapist, and I try to keep my mental health strong. But
I
like,
respect that.
I don't actually. Let's talk on that a little bit. Like finding that outside person that is not in your immediate circle, because a lot of times your immediate circle can build you up, but they could also tear you really down. So that how important is it to have that outside person from your inner circle to talk to? How even if it's not a therapist, even if it's somebody like AJ, like how important is that? Let's talk about that for a minute.
I don't know what I would do without it. Like, so when I started my men's group last year, these guys, it blows my mind how much they think that I'm doing for them. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. You know what I mean? But I get calls, if not every day, every other day, from guys when we started that group that just want to check on me and see how my mental is, because they're like, you're always looking out for us. It's key. I got a buddy that is 4 years recovery from alcohol. He does amazing for himself. But he said, man, every time I talk to you, I feel so much better. And I'm like, it's the same with me. So I'll sit here and I might be, everyone has downtimes here and there, things will pop up and you got to find a way to get past it. But then one of my guys will say, hey man, just checking on you. And boom, I light right back up because it's bigger than you. So
Yeah.
having a small group, that's why I feel like these groups that we're working on are so important, because they say, a lot of people take medicine. They want to mask everything with medicine, but it's more community based. And that's what you
Mm.
need. When everyone in the community comes together to help, someone in your group has been through the same thing or similar. It can help you find ways to maneuver through instead of counteracting different medicines.
Okay, okay, I got that. I can feel that, and also that's where the physical health comes in, because the physical health, the chemical release through that is, you know, like I've said it a few times on the show, and I'll say it again. There is no better feeling than being completely wrung out. You just, there are times where I'm like kind of like down on myself a little bit, and
Yep.
I'm just going through that little bit of rough patch, and then my wife Lisa and I will just plan a 3 to 5 day trip on the Appalachian Trail, and you'll hike 20 to 26 miles a day, and you are just your mind shuts off and you feel so much better. You just because you're turning yourself inside out, and
100%.
I can't give enough praise to that. There's so much for it, like with the physicality and
Yes, sir.
having that outside person to talk to, and like it's it's glad to hear that I mean like it's something I'm doing right,
Yeah. And
because
this is a
like
machine. Your mind is a machine. I mean,
yeah.
that's why when they talk about mental health, I feel like people are so quick to put it in a box and categorize it as something negative. And it's
Mhm.
not. To me, like when something you're suffering mental health, like saying it's just a signal that I need something. It doesn't have to be looked at. We got to go to the doctor. It's just maybe someone to talk to. And that's the big
Mhm.
thing. Like I had a girl inbox me today right before we got on here. What is Vent? And I told her about it. I heard you're starting a women's group too. And it's because everybody that I know has suffered from the same thing that I talk about. Almost every person, every person. And
Yeah.
something else real quick that I would always talk about mental health is this is a problem I think in relationships today. People, usually you might get about 70 to 80% of what you want in a relationship. When you're with somebody you love and trust. But the reason I think divorce rate and people cheat and suicide rates are so high is because people give up that 70 or 80 to get this 20 from somebody else, and then that 20 is all they got. And then you're messed up even more. Because
Yeah.
again, you don't know yourself. So it starts here. It's
Mhm.
internal. You have to learn to value yourself. You got to work on emotional regulation, all these different things so you can value who you are in any situation and know
Yeah.
that you can get over that obstacle. So
Yeah, that perseverance aspect of it, I feel that, it's got to be, especially in relationships, it's got to be one of those things where you're comfortable with yourself so the other person can be comfortable with
yep,
you. You're doing it for yourself, being comfortable with yourself and liking yourself, but it also helps with the person that, I mean, that you're with, because then they can read you a little bit and they're like, okay, you need something. Like
100%.
what is what is it you need? You need something. And, I am like, not to brag, but I'm one of the fortunate ones. My wife and I have been together for over 20 years.
Oh, congrats.
We complete each other. Like, it's kind of cliche to say that and kind of, hippy dippy, but honestly, like, I hate to say this, like, cause it's cliche, but she really truly is my sounding board, my best friend,
I know how you say it.
the cornerstone of who I am. And I had to find myself to be there, because we've all walked through fire. No one escapes this life unscathed. You just
No,
don't. No one's happy all the time. No one's not went through any, we've all been young and we've all made bad decisions, young or old.
100%.
We've all made bad decisions, and we've all been at that point where it's like the bad decisions keep adding up and you don't know where to go. Well,
Yeah.
I love what you're saying there, man. Like, really do love what you're saying with the love of yourself first. And then you can, and once I found myself and I dealt with my past issues that I had,
Yeah.
my wife walked with me through that, and she didn't hang anything over my head. She didn't force me to do anything, but she said, if you need me, I'm here.
That's
And
a
so,
winner.
like,
That's a winner. I didn't mean to cut you
oh
off, but
yeah,
that's a
no,
winner.
no, yeah, no, no. So, you can find it out there. And if you're not in that place yet with somebody, you can find it in friends. You can find it in community. It doesn't have to be in a romantic relationship. I just happen to be blessed that it is in a romantic relationship for
Yeah.
me. But like, you could find it in the community. You can find it, some of the best camaraderie is when we were playing basketball, man. Like, I don't know what it is about. I mean, yeah, you got your jabs and your
For sure.
your trash talking, but like that engagement of you're putting everything out there that you have, whether you're good or bad at it. And, and the other people on the floor with you, they gravitate towards that one object,
It's
like
like a
we're all
level
going,
playing field. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
trying to get to the same prize. Yep.
Yeah, and even if you're not as good as the person who your opponent is, because like, I was pretty fast, but I could never match your speed, and
Yeah,
your
I get what you're
size.
saying.
Yeah, so your size, but I mean, so we went against you. We've had some good battles, we've had some fun,
For
but
sure.
like, and that's what built the camaraderie, between you and I. Besides the fact that we just, we became friends, and that's,
Yeah.
becoming friends with somebody, and even if you lose track, because you and I have lost connection a couple times
Oh
in
yeah.
life,
I didn't even know
but
that
we
was you till I saw you in that pink suit. I'm like, oh, I don't know this guy. I ain't seen him
yeah,
in years.
Yeah, right. And it all circles back, and so you will lose contact with people throughout your life, but those friends, you make those friends for life, and it does start with the mental health. So let's go ahead, and we're about 40 minutes in. I know you need to get to the gym, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. But my listeners, if they want to reach out to you on Vent, if they want to reach out to you on Facebook, if they want to just hit you up, first of all, one, is it okay? And two, how would they do it if it is okay?
100%. I'm an open book. So I think that's why I get a lot of people reaching out to me. You can reach me anytime with any questions. I always get back to you pretty quick with my responses. I have a good email you can use. It's lifting41 at Gmail, LIFTING 41 at Gmail. And then you can hit me up on Facebook also on it's Anthony AJ Johnson. And I always get back to people. So any questions you have, I'm here to answer them. This event thing is going to take off though. We got
Yeah.
the men's group, the women's group, and we're going to do a co-ed group. So we're going to figure out what's going on with these relationships and people in the community. And we're going to do a youth group is what the next goal will be.
Okay. And so for my overseas listeners and people out of the country, you'll need to figure out how to dial into the United States if you want to reach AJ. And there may be a language barrier because, we have a lot of Australian listeners, New Zealand listeners. We have a lot of people in the UK. We have a lot of people in Saudi,
Okay.
the Virgin Islands, and, we have some in South Africa, and we have some in Northern Africa. So we don't get a ton of downloads and a ton of listens, but we are worldwide.
That's
We do
amazing.
have a world reach, but it's because of the Autoglass community, and that right there is a band of a tribe. Because kind of like the lifting community, like
Yes.
most people in our industry, if you ask them a question and how long they've been into it, they're willing to answer your question. And I think a lot of the new people that are coming in, they just don't have that comfort level to ask the question because they feel it's going to be made fun of, but it's not. Get
It's
over
not.
that, please. It's not as bad as what you think. Walk through
Yes.
the door. Please walk through
If
the
it's
door.
going to help you come back, please ask anybody in there. I don't care if it's somebody at the front desk If you see somebody doing something and you're not sure about it and you want to learn it, please just ask. I promise you it'll be for your best interest just to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. So once again, I'm going to need you to hang on though once we stop recording because it's got to upload. Do you see where it says uploading in your top corner? It
No.
should say somewhere. Okay, so it should say somewhere on your screen, but it'll tell you when it's done uploading, so we can hang up or whatever. But when we stop recording, me and you'll have a little bit of a conversation. So once again, everybody, I've been the Ghost Set Killer. This has been AJ, and I love you. So please
Love you
take care
too,
of yourself.
man. I appreciate it more than you know.